I think I've cemented myself as the ability guy amongst other smaller Splatoon content creators. I've given history lessons on these abilities and suggestions for changes on many of them. Though, one thing I haven't taken a swing at is creating completely new abilities. I haven't really seen this discussion on creating new abilities in quite a while, probably around the start of Splatoon 2, as Splatoon 2 gave us 8 to 10 new abilities and removed 6 to 8, while Splatoon 3 gave us 2 while removing 2. My goal for these abilities is to add something unique and different that hasn't been done in the series before. I'm also trying to make these additions plausible. I don't see these being added in Splatoon 3, or any future game honestly, but I do want to give ideas that don't seem so crazy and out there, and add things that aren't too out of line. Lastly, I'm not worried about the balance too much. It's hard to estimate proper balance without any testing, and I'm flexible to change a few numbers around as long as the foundation is solid. Alright, now that you know my methodology, let's get started. The first ability I have is a shoe-exclusive ability called Colored Feet. When walking, a small puddle of ink appears below you every few seconds, even when not firing. This is supposed to help weapons that mainly stay out of ink hold their ground easier and have to constantly paint their feet to reduce damage. Think of the ink that appears under your feet when using an ink vac, just less frequent. I specified walking as it's a pretty general term. Weapons that charge while moving are considered walking, umbrellas that move with their shield up, aiming a sub-weapon, and even weapons that are shooting are all considered walking, with the exception of rolls from rollers and brushes, the charge/dash from Splatanas, and dodge rolls from dualies. While you're only considered running when you're moving at full speed in kid form without using your main weapon, sub-weapon, or special weapon. This is meant to help mostly slower weapons. Hydro Splatling gets displaced all the time, and having to drop your charge to move, paint your feet to get away, or paint your feet so you're able to strafe at full speed can be a massive momentum killer, while avoiding it can also get you killed as you keep taking more damage from the ink. Weapons like Dynamo Roller that aren't too consistent in painting their feet, so having it activate every few seconds can help it maintain positions while not entirely getting rid of the weakness of not always having paint under your feet. I get that this isn't all too useful for weapons like short-range shooters that can quickly paint their feet, but it would be useful for the aforementioned slow and charging weapons, along for the Rainmaker carrier, the slowest weapon and one that isn't too self-sufficient. Let's discuss the details a bit more. Every 5 seconds, a small patch of ink appears under your feet that contributes to your total paint and special as long as you meet these conditions and not these. It is meant for slower weapons and charging weapons to not take as much extra damage or be slowed down as much while fighting or getting into position. Here are a list of specials that it will and won't work on. I really like the idea of this ability. Like I said in the beginning, I'm not looking for the perfect balance. For example, if this was implemented and was shown the 5-second gap was too long, I would reduce it to 3 seconds. Though, this would always have less use than Stealth Jump in its current form, and Drop Roller and Object Shredder will have their specific niches. I could see this used on a 96 gal on Rainmaker, one that doesn't need Object Shredder, doesn't benefit from Drop Roller, and can forgo Stealth Jump on a few maps. Or a Hydro Splatling on some Splat Zone maps, with no use for Drop Roller and limited uses for Stealth Jump and Object Shredder. The first ability isn't anything too revolutionary, just a nice quality of life for weapons that choose to run it. Hey there, Editing Eevee here. I just wanted to say if you're enjoying the content so far, consider leaving a like and hitting that subscribe button, as it boosts my content in the algorithm and shows me you want more content like this. I have a lot more Splatoon content if you're interested. If you really like my stuff, consider being a channel member, which recently got new perks. Alright, back to the video. The second ability I have is a shirt-exclusive ability called Adrenaline Rush. Increases run speed and swim speed for a short time whenever you splat someone. However, whoever splats you receives the benefits for a short time. This is just like Respawn Punisher, except for movement speed. This ability is mostly meant as a high-risk, high-reward for fighting weapons, as the extra movement speed can help you snowball, but play recklessly or make a mistake, the enemy can use their newfound buffs to overwhelm your team instead. I made this a shirt-exclusive ability, so you have to choose between it or Respawn Punisher, because if you had both, you can make the enemy respawn longer, and getting a movement boost would be too powerful, and if you're on the receiving end, it would feel extra awful. This would be great for short-ranged fighters like Splat Roller, Mint Decavitator, 52 Gal, or Blaster, while more aggressive mid-range weapons like Splattershot Pro, Sloshing Machine, and Nautilus 47 can take advantage of the added movement. Let's get into some specifics. You only receive 15 AP, or 5 subs, of Swim Speed Up and Run Speed Up. I decided not to include Ink Resistance Up, as it overlaps with Opening Gambit, Drop Roller, and Tacticooler, and this is more likely to be active more often, so I think it's fair that the effects are weaker. Also, when the user gets a kill, your buff only lasts for 2 seconds, and when the user dies, the enemy gets it for 3 seconds, putting more risk on the user, but not giving too much of an advantage to the enemy. Just like Respawn Punisher, assists don't activate the ability, you have to have the final blow. Unlike Respawn Punisher, however, it doesn't stack if 2 different users splat each other. Also, this does not stack with Opening Gambit or Drop Roller when they are both active at the same time. The ability that gives more AP takes priority, so in Opening Gambit and Drop Roller's case, it will always take priority since it has 30 AP. But when using Comeback, you can get 15 AP of Swim Speed and Run Speed, but 10 AP of all other abilities. Finally, if you get more than 1 splat when you have the ability active, it adds to your time, not resetting it. I think this could be a very powerful ability, but I think making it shirt exclusive helps it not become too broken when combining it with other abilities. As mentioned before, you can't stack it with Respawn Punisher to make kills super impactful, and you can't combine it with Ninja Squid to negate the downsides frequently. And giving the enemies a slight advantage when shutting down someone with free abilities and not needing to sacrifice gear is good counterplay, as giving out movement perks very frequently to fighting weapons with no downside could be ruinous to so many different weapons if no counterplay was introduced. And weapons like backlines that kill the user wouldn't always benefit from the 3 seconds of movement. Like I said before, I'm willing to change a few of the numbers if the balance was a problem. I could see maybe slightly reducing the time the buffs are active or the amount of AP given, but for now, I think I'm pretty satisfied with my choice. Alright, last one. A headgear exclusive ability called Echo Field. When impacted by enemy subweapons, reveal where they are initially thrown from. Well, this is going to need some more explanation. Whenever you are hit by a subweapon, a line gets drawn from where it was initially thrown, and will flash a few times before disappearing. This is supposed to let you know where certain subweapons came from when they hit you, because sometimes there are tons of bombs flying around, and it's hard to keep track of it if it's the Splattershot Jr. off to the side, a Splat Charger on a ledge, or something else completely different. I see this as a somewhat spiritual successor to Bomb Sniffer from Splatoon 1, which located the effects of all bombs in a certain area, and I wanted this ability to accomplish something similar, but instead of cluttering your screen with every bomb in your vision, I chose to only make it work on subs you are hit by. This gives more utility than Bomb Sniffer, as it also works on subs that don't do damage. This includes damage from Splat Bomb, Suction Bomb, Burst Bomb, Curling Bomb, Automob, Ink Mine, Splash Wall, Sprinkler, Fizzy Bomb, Torpedo, and Angle Shooter, the tracking effect of Ink Mine, Point Sensor, and Angle Shooter, and being caught in the effects of Toxic Mist. The only sub this doesn't work on is Squid Beacon, as there's no way to affect the opponent in any way with it. I mean, you can see foes in your beacon on the map screen, but I'm not sure how you'd implement that, so best just not to include it. Echo Field can be used to focus down a single opponent who might not always be visible. So if you get chipped by a nearby bomb, but the enemy isn't in sight, this can help you track them down. You could use a Zipcast or Inkjet to take them down directly, throw your own bombs to clear them out, tell your teammates where they are to be wary, or a myriad of other options to counter them. Though, the cons of Echo Field is that it can be triggered quite a bit, so I tried to make the marker itself not intrusive. Sometimes, it'll give you information you already know and can't act on, but the biggest one is that it only works on sub-weapons, not main weapons or special weapons. Shots from main weapons are usually pretty obvious. Sometimes you get a charger from around a corner or shots arcing over a wall, but it's pretty obvious most of the time. Specials can be a bit more erratic, but they are usually telegraphed pretty well, and if you get spooked by one, you're usually dead. I think this would be good on close-ranged slaying weapons. They're usually taking more damage on the front line, so knowing the location of certain weapons pressuring them can allow them to hone in on a certain area to focus their push up. Think Carbon Roller, Splattershot, Splatana Stamper, and Octobrush. It could also work on midline weapons that usually take some damage and have a sub or special that they can send their way when they're aware of their presence, such as H3 Nozzlenose Viper, Forge Splattershot Pro, Foil Flings a Roller, or Sloshing Machine Neo. I think limiting it to sub-weapons makes it a unique method of countering sub-weapons rather than just tanking it with sub-resist up, or clearing it with your special. Making it a headgear ability makes sense logically, but the opportunity cost of giving up something like Comeback or Last Ditch Effort could be tough to swallow. Also, making it where it was thrown from gives some counterplay to the affected, as they could have already been gone by the time the user reaches the origin point. If after further testing, it wouldn't be too much to allow Echo Field to track specials, I'd be open for that. But I'd like to create something a little undertuned at first and buff later, instead of making something broken and having to quickly make changes. Well, those are some of my ideas for 3 new abilities for Splatoon 3. Hopefully you like the ideas I brought to the table, and if you have any alterations or suggestions, let me know in the comments, or if you have any other Splatoon ability ideas of your own. I also want to thank Hapiikat for these great mock-up icons on these abilities. All of her information is in the description below. I want to say thank you for watching. If you like my content, consider subscribing and leaving a like, as it really helps. If you really like my content, I have channel memberships starting at $1, which includes your name at the end of videos, a badge next to your name, select shorts early, and more. I hope to get a couple more videos out by the end of the year. We'll see about that though. See you next time. Bye.